Joining us now, NewsNation media contributor Colby Hall. Colby, thank you for being here. So why do you think DeSantis chose Twitter as the platform to make his official announcement? What's the strategy here?
Well, I think Ron DeSantis is trying to differentiate himself from Trump within the conservative base. And there's no one sort of more popular or hotter right now than Elon Musk, now that he's sort of framed himself or presented himself as a First Amendment free speech advocate since he's bought Twitter, and sort of fighting back against the sort of boogeyman big tech bad guys that the conservative media has long sort of rallied against. So I think DeSantis is less interested in Twitter so much as being attached to Elon Musk as something new, younger, different. And of course, I think Twitter still is big. And with the promotion of Elon Musk and his fanboy following, he'll have a large reach of audience, certainly more than Trump would get on Truth Social.
Well, in terms of the positioning that you mentioned with Elon Musk and on this platform, Twitter, do you think this would hurt or help his campaign moving forward after announcement day?
You know, it's a good question. And, it's impossible to predict. I think the platform will make little difference. I think he'll get more people. I think it will help him to be aligned with Elon Musk, at least with the base. Again, Elon Musk isn't necessarily widely popular. There's a lot of progressives that don't like what he's doing. I think what really matters is how he performs and how this spaces actually go. Will he get tough questions? I mean, Elon Musk has said that the questions that he receives will not be vetted and it'll be sort of free and easy. We'll see about that. I think Ron DeSantis needs to show that he can be sort of charming, down to earth, and a better retail politician than he's shown thus far, whereas Trump is sort of a classic performer. He's done years and years of reality television and knows when the camera's on him and rarely says, makes a wrong step, other than, of course, insulting those who are his critics. So I think being on Twitter is less the issue. It's more what he says and how he performs on Twitter that will make or break his first few weeks on the campaign trail.
That makes sense. So former President Trump, as you know, has criticized this move, saying this way DeSantis won't have to face the media for questions. What do you make of that statement?
Well, I mean, regardless of what DeSantis would announce or try to do, Donald Trump would criticize it. I mean, if there's one thing that Trump does is that he sort of insults anyone that sort of dares to sort of go against him. He did that in 2016 with candidates that he opposed, Ted Cruz, with whom is now his biggest ally. It's just part of the game. It's part of the pro wrestling ethos of bad guys and good guys. And I suspect at the end of this, DeSantis and Trump they're pretty allied politically. Trump is just looking to basically sort of rock the boat and try to get as much attention and say something really over the top. I suspect Trump would probably tweet something for the first time since he's been banned in the middle of these spaces to try to sort of rain on the DeSantis announcement parade. So it'll be interesting to see. And we'll see also how aggressive DeSantis will push back. Trump hasn't really had a lot of attacks on him politically. Will DeSantis play soft or will he go hard? And I think that's why people will tune in to see.
Yeah, the former president's involvement with Twitter will be really interesting to watch. Colby Hall, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.